Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Stream PC. Today, we have a little more of a serious episode on our hands. It's a little bit heavier, but keep in mind, if we do decide to make a joke out of something or laugh, it's not that we're not taking the subject seriously. That's just our personality. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So people in our Discords, Sauce, you're specifically, and you can give him a shout out whenever we start talking about it, have reached out to us to talk about motivation, procrastination, some depression. How do we help these people get up out of bed and reach for their goals?
So the person that sent this question in or this topic is Willis the Wizard over on Twitch. This is a really awesome dude. If you guys aren't already, you should definitely go check out his content. Maybe
Yeah,
drop
I finally
that, a beautiful follow.
I finally got the chance to go check him out after he told me to. Definitely loved his vibe. I think that's a very promising up and coming streamer. Definitely an awesome human. So thank you for introducing
really
us.
dude.
Yeah,
No problem. He's doing a great job. Proud of him.
Yeah. Yeah, if you didn't tell me he was just now starting out, I would not know when I went into a stream when you were like, hey, come check this guy out. I would have not known because
really
he's
good.
definitely got like quality, sound, charisma. Like he's definitely got it. So very, very interesting to see where he's going to go.
The things that starting off streamers kind of struggle with is like talking and narrating their gameplay, and he's got that down to a T. So that's definitely big kudos for him on that. So he gave us the idea for this podcast today. Well, this episode, if you will. And we're talking about procrastination, streamer depression, and trying to make time for everything. And that's pretty heavy topics. It really is, because at the end of the day, I think we all kind of experience that on different levels. I might seem like the happiest person you've ever met sometimes, and I go through streamer depression just like anybody else.
Okay.
Like, as this being my full-time job, I'm dealing with the idea of trying to pay my bills based on who's in stream and what's happening. And every once in a while, you have to take a minute and kind of just reset, like just take a step back, be thankful for where you are, and just go back into having fun.
Yeah.
When I was in sales, they had a thought process, which was just go back to basics. Because whenever you're new, you don't know anything about like why people are saying yes to you or why people are enjoying your stream. You're just having fun.
Right.
That's why you started streaming for the most part. A lot of people wanted to have fun, wanted to meet new people, and really just love playing games and wanted to share that passion with other people. So when you make it more than that, that's whenever you start getting more and more depressed about it or more in your feels, so to say. So it's all about just taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and then diving back into it. And as for staying motivated, motivation is just something you got to kind of kick yourself in the butt and do things. Like, I don't necessarily enjoy editing videos all the time. It's not my favorite part of content creation.
It's the worst.
I love YouTube. It's hard for me. I'm not good at it. And it's something that I have to learn. It's a skill, just like anything else. So I have to literally put myself at my computer, no distractions. This is usually about 2:00 in the morning when I'm editing videos, because that's my time where I'm just by myself. The wife's asleep. I don't have anybody in my ear in Discord, nothing. I'm just doing my thing. These two knuckleheads already went to bed, and I can just focus on that one thing. I think when you eliminate distractions, you're able to focus more on what you're trying to do at that moment. And whenever you're just completing one task at a time, it helps you stay motivated. If you have these little tiny goals that you're doing, like, all right, if I sit down at my computer, that's a goal. Did it. If I open up my CapCut or whatever you're using to edit, go ahead and start doing that. Pull up the video, edit for 10 minutes. If you have to walk around after 10 minutes for a second, do that. It's fine. Just come back to it. But just make sure you stay on top of coming back to it and doing it. Because at the end of the day, it has to get done. It's up to you how fast it gets done. And the amount of time that you take doing it is going to affect you and nobody else. So that's how I feel about it. What about you, Lucky?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, dude. I mean, Sauce said everyone that streams, especially over a period of time, even the ones that look like they're the happiest, everyone's going to go through streamer depression. Even the ones who are really good at painting a smile on their face while they're live. Even me, I've been through streamer depression. I've had days where, hitting that go live button is, it's kind of like a struggle, and I'm kind of like, I'm not filling up for it. I need, and sometimes I've took step back, I've took a step back, and I've took like a few days off, and, got more sleep, or just, took a mental health day or something like that. Little things like that are very important. I agree with pretty much everything you said, dude. Actually, everything you said. Yeah, 100%. Motivation, small goals. Yep. I agree. That's a good route to go with it. Just sitting in your chair, punt like Aztecan does before his streams. He's talked before in the previous podcast how he pumps himself up. Mm-hmm. He gets himself ready to go. Things like that are a good way to motivate yourself to hit that go live button and just jump right into it. Sometimes for streamers, that's the best thing to do, is just to hit go live and jump in.
I think overthinking it sometimes it's a human thing to overthink what you're doing.
Yeah.
And keeping your eyes on like a target that's way, way in the future. Like we talked about before, how you're closer to being a affiliate than you are to being a partner, and a partner's closer to being an affiliate than they are to being a Ninja or a Nick Merckx or a Tim the Tatman.
Right.
Those are long-term goals,
right,
which is great to have long-term goals. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's all you're focusing on is your long-term goal, then you're not celebrating your little victories. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get depressed. It's going to happen. It's just human nature to be like, let's use me as an example right now. My goal this year is to reach YouTube partner. That's a big goal. That's huge, right? But I can't focus on that. I have to focus on one video at a time. I want one video to do well. I want this one to get more likes or more views than the last video. I have to get a little better at editing. I have to do this. I have to do that. It's little measurable goals that I can have that aren't necessarily from someone else impacting it, but from effort that I'm putting in to get better at something.
100%.
What about you, Aztecan?
I love both the things that you guys bring to the table with this. And there's just one term that you guys keep using that I'm not going to say that is wrong, but it aggravates me a little bit. I don't like using the term streamer depression. As somebody who fights depression even today, daily, whatever, it's personal. I'm on medication for it still. I don't like coining it streamer depression because it's not just your stream that's doing it to you. There's obviously something not right within yourself and or your own life that you need to deal with. So not a professional, not a medical professional, nothing like that. But definitely if you have insurance and you have the abilities to do so, if not, hopefully your state provides something. I know my state does. I would go talk to a doctor. I know personally when I go to the doctor, they'd give you that sheet to check your mental health. Do you have these thoughts? Everybody checks no because they don't want to get that whole psych evaluation thing, right? They think it's going to be a lot worse. It's not like that. If you just answer those questions honestly, so they can be like, hey, you're kind of coming up as, depressed with this. Can we help you? Take the help. And that's the hardest thing that people can do, but definitely take care of your mental first. Now, streaming can definitely add on to it a lot. And I think that's why the term streamer depression is coined a lot. And I think it's exactly what you just got done saying is we look so far ahead. I want to be, Ninja, or I want to be Tim the Tatman, whatever the thing is. We look at that goal and we see how far down at the bottom of this pit we are, and we just feel like we're drowning. You don't want to do that. I love everything Sasha said. His goal is to be a YouTube partner this year, right? That's a hefty goal. And that's one that if he doesn't make, I know he'll be very disappointed in himself. But I know, and I'm comfortable enough that A, where he's at in his mindset and career as a streamer, and B, that he has me and Lucky here to back him up at the end of the year. I know he's going to make it, but let's say he doesn't. If he doesn't make it, he's going to have us here to build him back up. And I know he's strong enough to understand where he was. And I'm sure if he doesn't, he's going to be scratching that door. He's going to be right there. But he's making those small little increments. Okay, this is the goal. We're going to put that on the box shelf. What's the goal for this week? You know, is it 2 videos out, 3 videos out, 1 video out, whatever your goal is, right? 3 videos out is a great goal. 1 video out that you've put hours and hours into editing, that's a good goal. But I do see a lot of people who do that and they'll put all these hours into 1 video and then it doesn't pop off because you maybe wherever you're at with your YouTube career is like, maybe you're not in the algorithm correctly. Maybe you're not using the right tags, whatever the situation is, you get burnt out really quick because you'll be like, oh man, I put all these efforts into this 1 video and it's getting nothing. I've heard, you know, experienced streamers, other streamers, somebody I just collabed with mentioned, you know, they were tired of putting effort in and they only get 20 views, whatever, and that burnt them out. You got to stay consistent. That's going to happen. The funniest part is you hear these bigger streamers talk about it, something they've made years ago, even just out of nowhere start popping off because people started finding it. So the work you do today is going to help you tomorrow for sure. So yeah, it's all about setting those goals up and doing all that. As far as procrastination and all that goes, that's something that you do have to work on. You know, like Sauce said, set those mini goals every day. Get to your chair, get to your computer, you know, get your Canva or CapCut, whatever you're using, open, you know, get those things done, get it out there and just set that goal for yourself and be proud of yourself. You know, it is. And as far as the actual streaming goes, for me, like you mentioned, I sit here and I pump myself up and I get hyped for it. But I also walk into each stream with 0 expectation because what I was doing at first is I'd sit down and I'm like, okay, I want 5 followers today. Nobody can guarantee that. Nobody can say I'm gonna do everything I can to get 5 followers. You could have the best streamer of your life and get 0 subs, 0 follows, 0 bits, but it could still be the best. And since I've stopped coming in with expectation to the stream, I have way better streams because I'm having fun with it. I'm not sitting there like I used to where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an hour in, I haven't got a follow. I'm failing, you know, start sweating and start getting physically nervous and sick because I was failing a goal that I set for myself that was just unrealistic.
Right.
So a lot of those things is just things that you're doing like to yourself as a new streamer. You're just like, I need to make this goal. I need to make it. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I deserve it. Yes, you do. Yeah. Yes, you deserve it. But you have to let time and the algorithm of all these different apps do their thing. You just got to be consistent. You're saying something, Sauce?
That's a great take. Yes. What I was going to say was in sales, there's a terminology called controllables and uncontrollables.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only control what you can control. You can't control certain things, right? So if you're setting goals based on something you can't control people coming into your stream and hitting the follow button. Right. You can't control what somebody else's wallet looks like if they're going to be able to drop money for subs or if they're going to be able to drop bits. What you can control is your attitude when you go on the stream. Mm-hmm. You can control how much content you're putting out. You can control how excited you are after doing something. Little snappy comeback you make after you get a headshot. Those are things you can control. Those are measurable things that you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're relying on other people, you're going to ruin your mental space. It's going to happen because, like he said, you can have the best stream of your life and 0 things happen in that stream because it just wasn't going to happen. It's fine. It is what it is, right?
Right.
But it's not a lost stream if you're clipping, you're creating content from that stream. You're doing all these things that are eventually going to lead to more. And as far as you were talking about YouTube, where I have videos right now that are getting like 15 to 20 views.
Nice.
Which obviously that's fine. Like it is what it is. But YouTube, I think, is more about building a back catalog.
Mm-hmm.
That way, in 6 months, somebody finds me. And if I'm posting 3 videos a week, my times 6 months, that's a lot of videos that they have a chance to go watch.
Yeah,
they'll sit there and binge watch it.
Like, yeah, they'll binge watch. People love binge watching.
Oh yeah,
Netflix. As soon as streaming came out,
yep,
it's become binge watch, and then shorts, reels, and things. Like I told you guys several times that I don't think streaming's where you should start whenever you do this. Anyway, I think you should be making short form content or long form content. Short form is probably the easiest thing to do right now. Takes the least amount of effort, and the reward for it is multiple times more than most things. You can have one thing go perfect for you on it. Like Queso posted one TikTok and went super, super viral. Then he started streaming. Now he's like one of the biggest streamers out there right now.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. You know, don't ban me, Queso, if you're listening.
Ban that guy.
Yeah, ban him. Get him out of here. But I think something we haven't hit on yet, and it wasn't really one of the things that was brought up by Willis, but I think imposter syndrome is also something we should talk about a little bit for people that have been streaming a little while and don't feel like they earned where they're at. Because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily earn anything with streaming. Like I said before, you're not entitled to viewers.
Right.
You're not entitled to these things. It's all a gift at the end of the day that can be gone in the snap of a finger. So enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah.
You did work really hard to get there, and it's okay to believe in yourself and know that what you're doing is good and you're making great content and you deserve to have those people love you. That is okay to know that. So I think everyone who's had any type of moment where there's like, I don't know why you guys watch me. I don't know why you
Me
enjoy
every stream.
this. Yeah, it's everybody. It's such a normal human thing to be like, I'm not special. I'm just some guy that plays video games. I'm some guy that talks on a podcast. I'm some guy that makes YouTube videos. I'm not special. But to somebody, you are special.
Yeah.
And anybody you've ever looked up to in your life is just a person, right? But you looked up to him at one point. So as a streamer, as a content creator, as somebody in this world, there's somebody out there that's looking up to you. So you have to be the best version of yourself every single time in order to make that example, entertain that person, give them everything you got. Just like when you're having an off stream, you got to make sure you're always on. You can't be off. You can't afford to do that. If you have one viewer, if you have 1 million viewers, it doesn't matter. That one person deserves your very best. Those 1 million people deserve your very best. You shouldn't change regardless. But that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're Chuck
100%.
Norris, then you're just Chuck Norris.
Well, that's Chuck Norris, whatever.
Come on, we're not
He
talking
does
god tier
push-ups,
humans
does
now. Come
things,
on now.
Yeah, we're talking regular people, Lucky.
Lucky, do you have anything to add to what Sauce just went through?
Trying to think.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you haven't experienced it, that's okay. And if you
So
don't know
Lucky-
if you have, then you probably haven't yet. And that's
So
okay.
Lucky just feels like he deserves everything he's gotten. Gotcha. No, I'm just kidding. You do though. You do.
I mean, it's
So-
okay. It's okay if you've never felt that. I can't tell somebody how to feel.
Yeah.
I know that I've felt that way several times. Like I'm always thinking,
So-
like, what did I do to get here? I don't know.
Yeah, I've had it. I've been through it a couple of times. I've had people come into the chats and they'll be like, "Hey, you're gonna be the top streamer." Like people are jealous. People are just mad that you're going places. And I'm like, dude, I'm just playing Call of Duty with friends. Like I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm no different than anybody else out there. Like it's really weird, and it when it hits you and they're just like, you're this, and I'm like, no, drop it down.
What's funny though is that to them you are that,
Yeah.
because whenever we first started streaming, whenever you first came into my stream, you thought I was
Oh God.
something, right? You thought I was like a bigger streamer who was doing things and yada yada yada. I wasn't. I had like 11 people in there watching at the time. Like it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, you averaged around 11 to 15.
Damn.
Yeah, which is nice. It's not bad at all. The majority of people on Twitch, like I said, stream to 3 or less people because the majority of people aren't affiliate yet on Twitch. That's just the hard, cold facts. Sorry to say it. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, it's a good step to get yourself out of that. Whenever you see people that are averaging more people than you, you're seeing double digits, you're seeing 20 people, you're seeing 30 people, 50 people. You're like, man, they're doing something. Or in my mind, when I saw that when I first started, that's a full-time streamer. No. Odds are they're not.
No.
Very, very rarely
Yeah.
are they a full-time streamer if they are averaging like 20 people. It's just not usually a thing. Can it be a thing? Yes. You could be a full-time streamer with 5 people in your chat if you have 5 very generous people.
That, or you get lucky with sponsorships and stuff because you have maybe
Yes.
a big following on other socials. You could have definitely potential to do it at that point. Yeah.
Of course. Then you're not really a full-time streamer. You're a full-time content creator versus being a full-time streamer. That's why whenever you talk about sponsorships, this is a little off topic, of course. When you talk about sponsorships, streamers are less likely to get a sponsorship from big companies than content creators are.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you let's say you average 70 people in your stream, you're almost a partner. On Twitch, that's huge.
Yeah.
But to an advertiser,
Nothing.
70 people.
Right.
That's a drop in the pan, bud.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're averaging 70,000 views per video on TikTok,
That's big.
they're interested.
Yeah.
That's what
They're
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's better to be a content creator over just a streamer. And it's okay if you want to just stream. That's completely fine. That's your prerogative. But that's why I told you I believe you should start on TikTok, you should start on YouTube Shorts, and you should start on Instagram. Because you could start building that community, you could start working with brands, you could start doing those things instead of focusing on streaming and being like, yeah, if I get 100 subs a month, I could go full time. That's a great goal.
It's a good
But
month.
I'll tell you right now, that's a good month for streaming for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Great month for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never get that.
Right.
But at the end of the day on Twitch, that's $250.
Yeah. To reel it back into topic, as far as imposter syndrome goes, I know I literally just mispronounced that, but as far as that goes, it's definitely something I struggle with all the time. I mean, again, you'll hear it in my stream and Saucy's stream, especially when our viewers start to spoil us and give us a bunch of stuff. Like, what are you doing? We don't deserve that. Maybe we don't, but in their eyes we do. And I honestly, I want to cut that habit of saying those things, because obviously to them they do. So I don't mean disrespect to them, and I hope they don't take it as a backhand when I'm like, what are you doing? But I really feel that way about myself. So as far as the imposter thing goes, if that's kind of what you mean by that, the way I kind of interpreted imposter syndrome, maybe there's a different word for what I'm thinking here, is when people think like they're scared to be fake on stream, right? So like Lucky explained, I hype myself for my stream. That doesn't make me fake. So because I'm, normally kind of monotone, just like this, kind of like I am now in the podcast, versus when I go on stream, I'm like, what's going on, guys? We're going to have a great freaking day. Whatever, just a little bit higher of energy. That's not fake. And I think a lot of newer streamers struggle with that because they don't want to be that. That's just me being excited to be here, and put a good energy out and stuff like that. That's still me. It's just not, what I mean?
It's just a upgraded version of yourself, a hyped up version of yourself.
Yeah.
It's your stream persona, if you will. Not everyone's stream persona is Dr. Disrespect with the glasses and the leather and everything. That's great if you want to be a character streamer, but that's a character streamer. That's not a persona. Your stream persona is just a hyped up version of yourself.
Yeah.
Not everyone
so there's a
uses
difference,
that, but some do.
Right. So there's a difference between stream persona and being fake.
100%.
Completely changing who you are and your views on personal things and even just things of pleasure. When you start to change that stuff, if you're changing it because you want to, or you've educated yourself in a way, or have grown as a person and like you view something differently, because that definitely happens with age and time, those things aren't fake. But when you find a group of people and you're like, oh yeah, I'm into that thing too, and it's only when you're around them, that is what I would consider fake. That's what I would consider kind of like being an imposter at that point. So to me, that's what that thing means, but anything that you do on your stream for your people, I mean, if it's who you are and what you want to do, then nobody can call that fake. I definitely have seen it where, people that I know in real life, they'll come and watch my content and they'll be like, why aren't you like that in real life? I'm like, what do you mean? I make the same jokes. I make everything's the same. They're like, yeah, but that a little bit higher bit of energy. I was like, because I'm not putting on a show in real life.
Yeah, you're entertaining somebody
Right.
when you're on a stream.
Right. I'm not. I have your attention. We're face to face. I don't need all that extra energy. So yeah. So
Yeah,
just
we talked about last week how you're a TV show pretty much.
Mhm.
So if you're a TV show, you're a production. You have to put that energy in. You have to reel the people in. You have to get them looking at you. You have to keep their interest because there's a million people streaming on Twitch. And that's just Twitch. There's also that green app that I don't go to. There's also YouTube. There's also Netflix they could go watch. There's Hulu. There's Peacock. There's HBO Max. There's Cinemax. There's everything in the world they could be doing.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I talk about it in stream and I thank people for being there, I say, thank you for being here. You guys could literally be doing anything else right now at all. You could be watching anything, listening to anything, playing anything, and you guys chose to be here watching me. And that means a lot.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the whole responsibility to make it the best stream you can every single time.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you
Yeah.
have to plan your stream out every time, because I like to kind of go with the flow, but you need to make sure you're putting in that energy and that work every single time you hit that go live button in order to do it.
Since you brought up planning, I'm just going to say real quick, it is great to have a plan for your stream. It's super great. That way, if things, maybe nobody comes in or it's kind of feeling stale, you have a plan that you thought was a good idea for stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have that. But let's say you start stream and all of a sudden, before you even, maybe like us, you have a starting screen and you already got 20 something people in there. And you're like, oh my God, I'm popping off. What's going on here? And the plan is just ruined because all these other things are happening. Maybe you were going to jump into Call of Duty, today, right now, but instead you're stuck chatting for the first 2 hours because chat's popping off. It's okay to derail from your plan if it's good for your stream. So don't think if you have a plan, you have to stick for it and miss out on an opportunity. I think the plan is just backup. Guess what? There's tomorrow or whatever your next scheduled stream is that now you already have a plan made up for because you had a derail from that. So
I guess instead of calling it a plan, you can just call it a guideline.
Okay.
Like it's good to make make a plan, but it's more of a guideline to follow.
Yeah.
Kind of like an outline for a essay or something that you're having to write.
plan,
You remember having to
guideline,
do those in
outline. How many more words are
Yeah.
going to bring in today?
Well, whenever you were writing an essay in school, you had to have an outline. You had to have
Essay.
a beginning. You had to have a middle. You have to have an end. So it's the same thing whenever you're setting up a stream. You have to have your intro. You have to have like your greeting. You have to have your body, the game you're going to be playing, the content you're going to be making. And then you have to have your outro, right? Things can change in the middle there. 90% of the time they do. If you have a consistent outline or a consistent intro, consistent outro, the middle of it, that's where you pop off and you do your thing. Like if you got a pivot, it's fine. We all love to see when you pivot anyway, so
Yeah.
you'll be all right.
So referring to my stream manifest, just try to keep thinking of new words for it. But yeah.
I agree with that though, because like I've had streams where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just play COD all day today, and then it's like, oh, I've been chatting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
He has the gift of gab. He does.
It's like, okay, this is a just chatting stream today,
Yeah.
And then I've had days where it's like, okay, I'm gonna play a single player game. Oh, well, I got people wanting to play COD, so okay, we'll play Call of Duty today. Screw it,
So that's
It's
okay, but also like you don't ever want people to, and I'm not saying this is what happened to you because I know it's definitely not, but you don't want people to bully you out of what you're gonna do. Like if you were gonna play a single player game because you just needed to, like for whatever reason, maybe you're getting burnt out on the game that everybody's wanting you to play, and you need to. I mean, I've definitely had times where Lucky's on and the community's like, oh my God, Lucky's on. He's playing Call of Duty. You should definitely hop in with him. He doesn't have anybody with him. We'd love to see you guys together because our communities are mixed quite a bit. So they're just like, we want to see you guys together. We love your guys' back and forth. Please, please, please. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's not tonight's schedule is for this. This is what I'm playing tonight. I was like, I totally get it and understand if you guys want to go watch Lucky because you're wanting to see that game tonight, and then they never, I mean, maybe I lose one or two, but the majority is like, oh no, we'll stick around, and we got both of you guys up anyways. It's fine. We hang out with both of you. So yeah, obviously that's not what happened to you. Obviously you were just going with the flow and you're like, shit, all right, yeah, I want to play Call of Duty anyways. So, but definitely for a newer streamer.
For me, it's always been like whatever my friends are playing, or if I ever have friends that want to play, I just play that game. I'm okay with whatever normally.
Mhm.
If I don't have anybody on, that's when I'm normally like, okay, it's gonna be a single player kind of day because I don't have anybody on that wants to play.
Right.
So personally, something for me, as far as like depression and stuff, especially with newer viewers, is constantly looking at how many viewers you have in your stream while you're streaming. Like if you constantly looking over to see how many viewers you got, like if you get a win in COD and you're like it's like a big moment for you, you're like expecting all these GGs in chat and all this like hype and party moments, and you like look over and see how many views you got and you see you got none or one, immediately all of that's gone. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. Like they'll be real happy for half a second and they'll just be like, okay. You have to be able to keep that hype going, even if there's nobody in there. It's best for me personally, it's best to always keep your viewer count cut off. Never know how many people were in your stream. That way you can be 100% genuine the whole time. Like that hype will actually still be there. That'll be an amazing clip that you can go back and record later. And it could be one of your best shorts that you've ever posted on social media. What do y'all think?
Well, I mean, I get for the reason of like depression or being, motivated. I can understand not wanting to see it. And like we definitely already talked about, you definitely don't want to change what you're doing based on what you're, what you have. But I love having it on there, because I make sure when it's at a low or it's at 1 or 0 or whatever the case is that day, I don't let it change what I'm doing. But definitely, I'm not going to lie. Like when I see that big, 20, 30, whatever I got that day, when I start seeing those numbers, I'm not going to lie, man, it motivates me to just be better and do better. So I don't quite agree with it, but I if you are suffering from just like that, I hate hitting the go live button because nobody shows up, then I could see that. But at the same time, I think it's just also a way to remind you that, go back, look at your content and see what maybe you are or aren't doing that's reeling those people in, because if you look at your your analytics at the end of stream and you see that you had a bunch of traffic, but nobody stayed and that number didn't build because nobody stayed to watch you. That's a great thing to look at and be like, why did nobody stay? Well, 9 times out of 10 with most new streamers, when they go back and look at that, it's they weren't talking at that time. So, I mean, I love it for that reason as research purposes, but I could see where like the topic that we're talking about, which is depression and motivation, I could see where that would hurt that. But I think if you change your point of view on it and use it as a tool to be better and not let it stress you out, which I know that's the hardest part, I think it's an important tool to have on.
Okay. I mean, I can see both of your guys' points of view a little bit. I think the biggest issue is you have to have a strong mental game in general in order to have a view counter on. Because if you're letting lows affect you, if you're letting highs affect you, it's just as bad either way. And no shot at you, Aztec, on this, of course. Like, I know if you see a higher number, it motivates you a little bit, but it shouldn't in general. We should be streaming exactly like there's 1,000 people watching anytime. And having the view counter on, not having it on, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you're going to know your chat's reaction regardless because you're looking at your chat. So if you hit a clip and you're celebrating and you don't see anything in your chat, you still got to be tough enough to not let it affect you.
Right.
And you could have 30 people in your chat lurking and not saying nothing.
Never call out lurkers.
Don't call out lurkers.
Don't call out lurkers.
That's just bad etiquette, like we talked about in the last episode.
I had to throw that out there quick.
Now, that being said, if that's affecting you, seeing that number, get rid of it. If it doesn't affect you, leave it. But regardless, you should not be letting any of those things affect you in general, because you need to be putting on a top tier performance for one person or a million people. Doesn't really matter. It should be the exact same level of excitement, enthusiasm, everything, no matter who's there.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
And when I say motivate, I don't mean like it's going to change what I'm currently doing. Like I'm not going to start being different or whatever because I haven't. But I will say, like, if I have 30 people in there and, you know, I think my average was like 11 or 12 the other day. I can't remember what it was. You know, I see 30 people in there. I obviously have new faces in there. What it does motivate me to do is randomly just, you know, throw in just a random, by the way, my name's Aztec, and just kind of go over like who I am. Because a lot of people who meet me for the first time don't know how to say my name correctly. And
I don't know who that is.
I just, when I say it uses me to motivate me, it helps like as a streamer come back and just be like, by the way, you know, or say whatever. You know, if I'm playing a game that I don't normally play, you know, talk about the fact that I'm, you know, one streamer. You know, I just use it kind of as a cue to know like maybe I should do that. You know, if I'm sitting there with my three normal, you know, everyday guys, they don't need to hear me talk about, oh, I'm Aztecing, by the way. But for VOD purposes, I could see where maybe I still should.
Yeah, you should be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you need to have like calls of action in your stream. You need to be introducing yourself to people because even if that you have a view counter up, which for the record, I have my view counter up. I stream to YouTube and I stream to Twitch. I have my view counter up because I want to know how many people are on which thing, because it lets me know that I need to be doing calls of action on those places, like he said. But we should be doing those anyway, honestly.
Right.
Because there's a lapse in time for those view counts updating and someone entering your stream. It's not instantaneous.
Right.
So if you're not talking during that time span that they're in there, they could have went in, didn't hear anything for 30 seconds, and left before it clicked over to 1 and back down to 0.
Right.
So we need to just be doing all the right things all the time. And I know that's difficult. I'm not high in the sky thinking everything's great. It's hard. Being a streamer's hard, man. It's not easy. It's not for everybody. Anybody can be a streamer, but not everybody is going to be a streamer. Anybody can create content, but not everybody can mentally take the toll of doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's okay. If you aren't that person, accept it or make yourself better and get there.
So like you just said, I mean, it's not a perfect world. So another, you know, argument to have it on would be maybe you're full of lurkers right now. Let's just pretend, right? Which is rare. If you have a big viewer number and nobody's talking, that's a red flag to me. As we've stated in previous episodes. But let's say you have 30 people in there and only your, you know, two main, you know, a mod and a main fan of yours is in there chatting, you know. In a non-perfect world, as a streamer, maybe you get discouraged. Maybe you're sitting there like, what's up, guys? Whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. Which is wrong because you should be thankful those two people are there for you. But
absolutely,
you're a newbie, all right? You're still suffering with all these things we're talking about, you know, and now you let that affect you because you're only seeing the two chatters and you think nothing's going on. You have your viewer count on, you see that there's 30 people in there. Somebody's checking you out. You know, potentially we've seen, especially in the land of Twitch, is where people will come in and do an unofficial raid, right? And they're not raiding out to you, but they're checking you out, maybe with their community, which I typically don't want to be a part of that community anyways, because those are weird, kind of. I've never seen a good one pan out. But, you know, if you start kind of feeling like, oh, nobody's there because you think there's only two people chatting, you have no idea. So maybe as a new person who's struggling, maybe you do need that to look at to kind of maybe, you know, perk yourself up, rehype yourself like, oh shit, there's 30 people, let's go. You know, again, you don't want to be fake or anything and do anything outside of what you are.
right.
But
And
I mean, it's back and forth.
I mean, that to touch on that, like for me, I always keep my viewer count off. I never know how many people have been into my stream unless everybody's chatting all up at once. Then I have a somewhat idea.
You get that random kid in your stream that's like, oh my God, there's 45 people in here. Now you're like, fuck.
Exactly. What? You know? And Sauce used to do that to me. He was like, hey, look, guess what? He did. He used to do it for fun.
Just to watch you squirm.
Guess what? There's like 20 people in here right now. It's like, stop, Sauce. Stop it. But yeah.
Oh, by the way, don't do that to people you don't know.
Right.
That's just because I know Lucky and I know it's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
But we
he does
also
it
know
because he
Lucky can
loves it.
handle it, right? We wouldn't do
Yeah,
that to
I
somebody
mean-
in our community that's new or starting out or that we don't know can handle it. We know Lucky can handle that pressure. He does get a little nervous or he does start to blush a little bit like, oh, shucks, me, but we wouldn't do that to people that we know couldn't handle it. But you also don't want to be the opposite on the spectrum and just come in and being an asshole. Just to be like, wow, there's only one person in here watching you. Thanks,
oh, yeah,
bro.
definitely don't do that.
Thanks, bro.
Right.
That's the worst, bro.
I honestly wish that Twitch's raid feature wouldn't tell you how many people they raided in with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just tell you it's a raid, because
Yeah.
every raid should be treated the exact same if it's one person or 1,000 people.
Yeah. Now they're
But
trusting you with their
everybody here-
community for sure.
Mhm.
They
They are. But I think everyone's guilty of seeing like a bigger number and you're like, oh my God, you're freaking out about it. There's two ways you could take it. You either freak out and you're like, oh my God, or you're super hyped from it.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see that one raid come in, you're like, thank you so much for the raid. You try your best to make them feel super happy about it,
Right.
but it doesn't hit the same as getting a bigger raid, which is a problem that
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have. I have that problem every once
Oh,
in a
yeah.
while too. But I try to make everyone feel like I'm grateful for it, because I am. Obviously, you're sharing your community with me. If it's just you and another person, if it's just you
Still
took the time to
grateful.
come to my stream. I'm
Yeah.
thankful
Absolutely.
for that. So I
Yeah.
wish they would take that off a little bit, because
I mean, I do and I don't. You're absolutely right. You should treat everybody the same. I made that mistake 6 months ago. I got 2 raids back to back. One was a 1 person and then one was like a 30 person. And I was like, oh, yeah, thank you for the raid to the 1 person for you. And then the 30 person came in and I was like, wow. I definitely got super excited. And I'm sure I destroyed that 1 person raider's feelings. And I felt so bad. And it actually just happened, 2 weeks ago, where I got like 3 raids back to back. And I did so good. I kept the same energy for each one, and each one had way different counts. But the reason that I could see having it is like, what if you're one of those lucky people who get like a big partnered raid of like, 400 or 500 plus, and then you're just like, whatever your level of same is, if you're just like, yo, thank you for the raid, thank you, welcome in everybody, and then you start introducing yourself like you should, and you're just kind of like, people love those clips on TikTok or on YouTube Shorts or whatever, where it's like, oh my God, it's 3,000 people, so hey, I'm
there's
kind
nothing
of,
wrong with those.
I'm kind of
clips.
with what you're saying, but I'm also
No.
like, ugh,
You would
just-
know regardless, just based on the chat, if it's a massive raid or not.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah, that'd
immediately
be
goes from
crazy.
moving normal speed for you to you're not even able to
No.
see what's happening.
I don't know.
And
I'm just
spammed with emotes.
I'm just an analytic nerd. I think I love seeing. I don't know. I'm for it and against
Numbers
what
are
you
great.
said. Like your arguments
look at my
making me
numbers.
want to change my mindset on it, but I'm just stubborn. I think I don't know.
Again, I look at my numbers after every stream because it's important. It's my full-time job. But I try not to put too much weight on it whenever I'm actually doing it. So again, we talked about having a stream persona. We talked about being a hyped up version of yourself and not letting things affect you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in your stream persona when you're off stream. You can take that data, you can analyze it, you can see what you're doing. You can look at the dips in your stream, fix those spots. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I didn't really talk here. I see people left right about that point. Maybe I should talk more. Or this part was a highlight of the stream. I wonder what was going on. Let me look. Oh, that's when that dragon flew over in Riften and it landed on that building. Man, that was a cool time. Maybe I should make a clip out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you take those as cues. So I think having an analytical mind about things is good in some aspects, but there's a time and a place for everything. And I think if you're too analytical and too number centric while you're streaming, it comes off that way, that it matters more. Not necessarily in your case, as Tekken, but in general.
That's
I
when
think
it
that's just
starts
how
to
it
get
happens.
to your head.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's whenever
A
you
little
start
bit.
having more and more thoughts like, oh man, am I ready for this 3,000 person raid that just happened? You're not. No one is. No one's
No
ready
one
for 3,000 people just to be dropped in your lap.
Nah.
That
Hey,
person, whenever they first started streaming, didn't have
My-
3,000 people fall in their
it's
lap.
content. Okay, it's content.
My biggest raid was like, Sauce, you were there. What was it, like 2 something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was like 2 something, dude. And I was like a deer in the headlights. Like I
Content.
just straight froze.
You
This
gotta
is-
be
I was
you.
like,
This is your TikTok video for the next day. Guys, I got a 300 person raid and I shit the bed. Check it out. It's good. I mean, yeah. So like I said, I can see what Sauce is saying for sure, and I could definitely lean towards that and be like, he's got some great point there. But just that other part of me is just like, I'm telling you not to be different, but at the same time, like you get like something crazy like that, you gotta be just a little more just, you know, like you said. I mean, either deer in the headlight or this
I mean, if
is
that's
this is
you,
your
then be
chance to
that.
get somebody to be a permanent
Yeah.
fan, you know. But
right.
you want
I mean,
you
your
want everybody
reaction
that comes in to be
genuine.
permanent, but yeah.
The
I do
reaction is
the-
genuine for sure
and I-
because you're doing that.
and I do the same
yeah.
thing for biddies and subs as well.
Mhm.
Like if someone gives me like 20 bits versus 100 bits, or 500 bits, I still do like the same amount of expression because that's people literally giving you money. You know, and it's like, oh, thank you, holy shit! Like I don't care if it's 1 bit or 1,000 bits. I'm gonna give 1 bit the same amount of love as 1,000 bit. You know, I mean, I know it's a lot more, but still, that's people showing you support.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to do that at
Of
all.
course,
Right.
I think having a level of thanks is definitely super important and like having a baseline for like most of your reactions. But I do think that being genuine with your response is very important too. Like
Mhm.
if something happens that blows you away, it's okay to be blown away by that moment.
Right.
So I know I'm saying like both sides here,
Yeah.
but it's because it's a gray area. It really is. Well, I told you I'm in the middle on this for sure. I think that it's okay to give them their props when it happens. Like I've had people drop 100 subs at a time in my stream. That's freaking massive.
Right.
It is.
Obviously, I got to give it up for that person and make it super, super important, super special. Make them feel like they're the most important person in the world because that's so much to do for somebody. And again, when we talk about imposter syndrome, I don't feel like I deserve someone dropping that on me.
Right.
Right.
And most people probably don't. Now, is that good for me to think that way? No, because I'm making content that people have the ability to watch for free if they want to. And this person's like, this content's good enough. I like this person enough. I want to give them this.
Yeah, they want to do something special
So-
for you. Yeah.
You
Right.
earned it at the end of the day.
Right.
So I think this is one of those moments where you want your cake and you want to be able to eat it too, right?
Mhm.
You want to be able to show, well, I love cake. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm a big guy.
I'm distracted now.
But you want to give appreciation to everyone and make everyone feel important because they are.
Yeah.
10 bits. That's something they didn't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
100 subs.
So
That's something they shouldn't have done.
so to call back on viewer count, because now we're talking about subs and all that, talking back to viewer count. I think something super amazing, a tool to utilize having viewer count on would be like, holy shit, guys, there's 40 people in here. That like never happens. I appreciate you guys. Holy hell. Like, you know, because just saying that might motivate somebody to be like, well, hold on. Before I leave, let's give him a little bit longer of a chance because, you know, he's excited about this. And, you know, that you might be able to drag a couple extra few minutes out of somebody to kind of be like, okay, what do you got? You know, and give them that chance to, you know, see you. Because not every moment of your stream is going to be a moment that is just like, oh my God, I love this creator, you know, because it's not a 24/7 thing, you know. But if people can give you a chance, if you can just catch their attention for just a minute longer, you might have that moment where they're just like, what is bacon pancakes? Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Let me check this guy out. So you definitely, that's where you can kind of come back to that argument of like, you could have it, you know, it's okay, you know. I mean, I've heard you say it, Sauce. I've heard you have a low number one day, and you were like, yo, I appreciate all you guys that are in here right now. And you still took the time out to appreciate, you know, I think you had like 5 or 6, and you were just like, I appreciate you guys, you know. And then I was at work, I got busy, I come back later, and you had like 30 people in there. And I was like, this fucker, look at this guy. This guy just because you stayed consistent. You were just as happy about those 6 as you were those 30. So great argument, but I think it should be on. I do. I think it should be on.
Like I said, I have mine on too, and that's
Yeah.
completely fine. But I think it comes down to individual choice for the streamer and being honest with yourself. Like, if you can
fits
handle it,
personally.
yeah, if you can handle it, cool. But if you know that your mental game is not on point to be able to do that, why are you adding more stress on yourself? Just take it off, act like there's a bunch of people in there, narrate your game, enjoy yourself, have your chat up. Someone chats with you, talk to them.
Shit,
That's all
handle
streaming
that,
is,
cuzzo.
That's all streaming is. It's just talking, enjoying a video game, and making people feel special.
Yeah. For Lucky, I think it's a great move because he's consistent, whether it's one or I've never seen you with 1,000, no offense, but 1 or 1,000. You know, it does not
I've
matter.
never had
I don't think
1,000,
any of
so
us
it's
have
okay.
I would be
It's all right.
crazy. One day.
One
We'll get
day.
there. So Willis actually brought up another point, was how to promote on other platforms. So I think we could go many different ways with what he's asking or what he's trying to get at here. But if you're like I'm gonna use TikTok as a prime example, just because that's where I work the most. To kind of call back to what we said, you had a great stream nobody showed up to, and you felt like it was lost. It's not a loss because of short form content. So if you went in, you kept a good head on you, you put on a good show, it's not a lost stream, right? Now what you can do, and hopefully you have your VOD save, is you can, take clips from that, or whatever your process of getting your clips is, make them into short form, put them on there. So if you're playing Skyrim, you want to tag Skyrim related things. You don't want to go, tagging For You page or, the worst thing you can really do is tag Twitch, right? Or streamer, because now that Skyrim video is going to get just lost in a sea of all that. And that's going to go to people who maybe aren't interested in Skyrim. And I'm just using Skyrim as an example. This goes for whatever game you guys are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Tag the game correctly. Tag things, maybe if you're doing, what's that thing you're doing where you have to eat? What kind of mode is that?
Survival mode.
If you're doing survival mode, tag survival mode, because there might be somebody who loves Skyrim who's only looking for survival mode content. So that's how you would promote that content. But the awesome part is you do that, people are going to see that. Maybe you don't stream the next day because your schedule is the way it is. They see that, they're like, oh my God. Now they go back and watch that VOD and you're putting on a show and nobody's there. And they're like, oh my God, I love this person. So that's why it's important to put on a good show. And for promoting on those other apps, just using the right tags to find that audience. I talked about it last episode, I believe it was. So you got to find your people. Your content has to find your people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're like me and you play a lot of Call of Duty, and then you switch games where I switch to Ghost of Tsushima, if I go tag Warzone onto my Ghost of Tsushima video, because most of my fan base is Warzone fan base, it's going to get lost. It's not going to get the watch through all the way. So the algorithm's not going to treat that video nicely. So you always have to think algorithm. So if you're pushing that Ghost of Tsushima clip out to the Warzone people, they're just going to keep scrolling. This isn't their thing. That's not saying there aren't people that like both, right? But you definitely want that video to be aimed at a target audience, is what it's called.
If I'm not mistaken, on YouTube, if you're a Call of Duty streamer, and let's say you play a different game one day, and you decide to post that different game on that same YouTube, even though you're tagging it as that game, doesn't YouTube already automatically familiarize with your original content that you posted previously?
I don't have proof of that, but that is, the big lore of YouTube is they do categorize you to one thing or one niche. And then no matter what you post, they're going to push it out to those people first because they know these people like you already. They know this is the type of content that you produce, so these people are interested in you. That's what we've been told. I have also heard that YouTube is trying to upgrade that. So one of the best things you can do if you're like me and you're a variety streamer and you have all kinds of different things is to make playlists for it, because they'll actually take into consideration that playlist. So even though you put a tag on there to direct the content, if you have it in that playlist, it will direct that playlist correctly. So I've heard. But I'll tell you what, when I post on YouTube, when I post Fortnite or Warzone videos, they pop off. I post Ghost of Tsushima, it's dead. So I feel like it's still doing that to me.
I have seen some shorts from a guy named Pirate Software. He's a streamer over on Twitch. He posts a lot of shorts. He's been popping off here recently. Really cool dude. He I think he's used to be a security person for Blizzard. got rid of bots and stuff like that. That was his job.
That's cool.
with
So
with
good
his
at
name, it
computers.
sounds like he did something like that.
Good with computers, right? I think he works on like Hearthstone or Hearthfire now. I can't remember the name of the game. But there is supposedly a way to unclick where it sends it directly to your subscribers.
Yeah, it's in your
So-
settings. It's in your settings.
Yeah, so if you unclick that, it sends it to brand new people that are actively on the app at that moment. So instead of sending it to like, if everyone followed Aztecan for COD content, he posts a ghost thing. They're not going to react to the ghost stuff whenever it's on there.
So in
9
that
times out of
case,
10, right?
Unclicking the subscriber button would
Unclick it,
really
mhm.
help. Right. But
Mhm.
maybe when I post
that's
my
definitely
Warzone
something you
stuff,
wanna try.
keep subscriber on. Maybe. I don't know, because once
That
you
makes
start
sense.
once you start utilizing that tool and you go to non-subscriber, then you get also now that fan base, you never just want to click it back on because your
Yeah,
subscribers
I
are
would
so
recommend
different.
Just never doing it. The subscribers can go to your channel and check it out if they want to.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right.
But you're wanting to get active users. That's the goal. So I think the main thing that I would say whenever you're posting to different platforms is search engine optimization is super important. So what you title your YouTube video, you need to make sure you're titling it something that someone's going to look up. Because if I Google, how do I beat whatever boss, or what's the best gun build, or what's the meta in Warzone, that's something somebody's going to Google, and you want one of your videos to be one of the top options for that video.
Right.
So when deciding what to name your video, think about how you would find what your video is about. So
And
like you
would
just
search
said,
for it yourself.
you know,
How would you
Best-
find it?
Car 98 loadout. Well, if your video is about that specific thing, then you should type the title be best Car 98 loadout.
My most popular video on my channel right now is still my PUBG settings video.
So funny.
And it's literally titled "The Best PUBG Settings to Take You from Bot to Not." So best PUBG settings. And that one's got over 5,000 views on it because
Nice.
people want it, I guess. I don't know. I don't even play PUBG anymore. Haven't played it in a long time. And when I do, I'm terrible again.
It didn't work for me. I'm
The
still a
settings
bot.
aren't helping. He lied.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm
Well, they're
telling you, I'm bad
outdated now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should make an updated
But-
video of it. That'd be cool.
I could, but it's not really my content anymore.
Not your content
So-
anymore.
You want to kind of go with your content. As you were saying, it kind of tailors down. I think it does to some extent. And you can change content. That's okay if you have a change in your content. But it's going to hurt in the algorithm for a little while until the algorithm's like, oh, maybe he doesn't play COD anymore.
Right.
Maybe I should start sending this to people who might actually like it.
Right.
Because the way YouTube or any algorithm works in general, they send it to your followers, like a selected group of your followers or subs first, 9 times out of 10. Or if you have where it doesn't send it to your followers, they send it to like the For You page or the live feed to a select amount of people. And you're trying to get watch time on those. So you want it to have a nice hook at the beginning. You want it to have a quick payoff, because people's attention span is not very good these days because there's so much competition for content.
Yeah.
So you want to
Mhm.
make sure you have a good watch time on those videos. If you get a video where you make a 5-second video or a 10-second video, right? And then they took an extra second or two to swipe away after they watched it, you have 120% watch time on a video that was 10 seconds because it took them 2 seconds to swipe.
Mm-hmm.
That video is going to get pushed out.
Yep.
A lot. Versus if you make a 45-second clip and they scroll away after 20 seconds because they're like, okay, it's taking too long for a payoff.
Yeah. And it's so funny because we can sit here and talk about this and you can have a right or wrong answer, right? So when I make most of my clips, most of my short form content, 95% of the time, okay, 99% of the time, I have TikTok in mind. I'm thinking TikTok algorithm. I'm thinking this is a TikTok. I'm not thinking this is Aztec and short form content. I'm thinking this is a TikTok. So I make it, short. I cut it up. I cut out dead space. I make sure it gets like straight to the action or straight to the point, whatever it is. And I actually just got a comment the other day on my YouTube short because I took that video and I put it on YouTube, right? Like most of us are doing now. And the kid was like, man, I really wish I could have seen like what led up to this, you know. And I was just like, I was like, okay, I'll try that. So now in my head, I'm like, should I make 2 versions of the same video? Should I, for YouTube purpose,
think you
should I make a
I
longer,
would.
you know? But the funny part is if you make over a minute long video, it's no longer considered a YouTube short. They automatically turned it into a
It's
video.
automatically a video.
Right.
And videos don't get pushed out like shorts do.
They don't.
So
So what you want to do is you want to have like 59 seconds if you're going to do that,
so I'm
right?
gonna have to utilize the full 59 like no more 20-second YouTube shorts. And I think that's honestly going forward from this moment on. I think that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start taking that content. I'm gonna make 2 versions of it and post the appropriate version in the appropriate places. I think those YouTube people, even though they're watching shorts, they're still kind of niched out to just a little bit longer of content. So they're more willing to watch a full minute content video. I just thought that was interesting. Again, that's just one person. That's just one comment. That doesn't mean I should go change everything I'm doing. So, but it was interesting to hear that take on that.
Well, different places want different things, right?
Yeah. I mean, like
Like-
whenever TikTok first come out, you know, whenever I was posting a lot back in the day, it was like, okay, 8-second short video, no longer than 8 seconds, or it's not going to get pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, now it's 15 seconds. Don't go over 15 seconds. And now you can
Right.
do up to like a 10-minute
10-minute.
Yeah, you could do a whole YouTube video on there if you
Yeah.
want now.
Which-
almost.
Which for like a couple months last year, TikTok was pushing you to do that. They're like, hey, we want
Because they
10-minute
wanted
videos.
to try and take some of that spot.
So
from
then,
YouTube.
so then all the short content was getting just left behind, and all of a sudden you were only seeing the 10-minute content on your feed. And of course, what happened? Those creators really got hurt because people were just like, hell no, I'm not sitting here for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, right?
Yeah. So
attention span.
it was
You got
interesting.
to keep in mind who you are making a video for each place, right?
Right.
Or if you're even putting a video on that platform. I know I am guilty of doing it every once in a while, throwing a clip up onto Threads or onto Twitter or X, whatever you want to call that thing over there. But those places are primarily for words than they are for your clips. You
Yeah.
don't get a whole lot of action on your clips over there. You can,
Yeah.
but it's rare, right?
It is
You're
rare.
going to get more action off of you interacting with something that's happening. Like, let's say that right now Elder Scrolls 6 is about to come out tomorrow. If I wish, but if I started like hyping that up and talking about that, I'd have people looking at my content and like retweeting or liking and following over there because I'm doing that, interacting with what's happening. Or if you're a sports fan, maybe you're interacting with some sports stuff. Maybe you play Madden and you're like, it's the draft or the combine. You're talking about things that are happening with that.
Yeah.
That's taking you off of the stream and interacting with things in real life.
Yeah.
For those platforms right there, in my mind. Where Instagram is more like just pictures you're showing off things of your, like maybe what you had for food that day or whatever your stream setup looks like, you know, like the streamer-esque vibe, if you want to give it that.
Right.
And then videos are for like your short form is in your short form places, TikTok and YouTube shorts. Long form, obviously YouTube or some of those other random generic YouTube sites that are out there. So I think you have to tailor make it for each individual spot. And I kind of want to bring in another topic that we had on there. I can't remember who brought it up, but they wanted to talk about like editing softwares and how to make clips and things like that as well. And I think that kind of goes in place with where you post content at.
It's a question from our boy SRT Legends.
Yeah, there you go. All right, SRT. The biggest thing I can tell you is whenever you have OBS, the easiest way to make a clip is with the Atom plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Have that, have a hotkey where it records for 60 seconds. If you want to do 2 minutes, do 2 minutes. That way you have a little bit more leeway. After something cool happens, press that button. Now you have that saved. You have all the audio that you have in your stream or in your setup. Like, so if you want your friend's audio, because I know you talked about having the people that was on there with you's audio. You talked about having your audio and everything that was going on and led up to it. Have a hotkey. Now you have that raw footage that you can manipulate how you want to and make it look how you want it to look. You can make that short 15-second video for TikTok. You can make that 59-second video for YouTube. And there are free apps that a lot of people use. I use the free version of Canva, or not Canva, but I use Canva Pro, and I use the free version of CapCut for a lot of things.
Yeah.
where Aztec has the pro version of CapCut, which is fine. It's not that expensive to have. So if you want that, do it.
No, definitely worth it.
I also use this pretty little app right here on my phone called UCut.
I'm not sure if he has a PC, so I think he's just a console guy right now, but he has mentioned, and we greatly appreciate your comment, SRT, that the podcast has been trying to give him that confidence to do it, because we make him, we explain things the way we explain them, and it definitely made him feel comfortable to maybe start. But as a console streamer, 100%, you can just go in there in the settings. I'm 95% sure they're within, and it's deep in there, and I could definitely hopefully find a video from YouTube to send you if you need it. But there's a way literally, it's just a click of a button of, do you want what's it called, voice chat, party chat included, right? Mm-hmm. So when you make those clips, but again, when you're only playing on your console, you're not hooked up to a computer, you have to have that habit of oh, I need to clip that, which once you get your computer, like Sauce said, you have that in plugin, it's great. It's still a habit that you need to have of, I need to clip that, which it sounds like work, but at the end of the day, it's worth it, because you're going to get a better quality, image, an already cut image, a better audio, and all that. And honestly, and obviously I'm biased because these are the two that I use, but like Sauce said, it's Canva and CapCut. Are they the easiest things to use right off the bat? No, but they're also not the most complicated either. It's not DaVinci Resolve, and it's not what's that other thing?
Premiere,
right? Yeah. Those things.
I would say CapCut is pretty user friendly.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the most user friendly that I've used so far.
Yeah.
But
for
simple.
A new person, it can seem or feel overwhelming. Some of the tools, you don't understand what they do. That just takes time and learning. But as a person that uses them actively today, I would definitely take the time to learn those two. So your short answer would be CapCut and Canva. Do you need the pro versions? No. Sauce just told you.
Pro versions.
Yeah.
Of either.
Yeah, but I'm just a weirdo, and if I see a transition that I like, this is exactly what happened, okay? I saw a transition that I liked, and I was like, I want to use that, hell or high water. And they're like, well, you got to be a pro. And I'm like, well, give me the year.
Hey, for the
they got me.
Huh?
They got me. Yeah. But I don't regret it. But I don't regret it. It's what I use today to make, this podcast. It's what I use to make my short form everything. Because the other great part, like Sauce mentioned, is if you're like us and you're on the go, which SRT I know works full time, you're at work and you're on your lunch break and you're like, man, I want to make that clip. It's on your phone. And it has
CapCut
great
will
quality.
Go to your phone.
CapCut,
there's a CapCut
and Canva.
App, there's a UCut app. There's a Canva app. All those things exist. And we talked about earlier, or in a few episodes ago, that like Xbox has a button right here underneath the power button that you press and it automatically makes a clip for you.
Yep.
You could set whatever link you want for it. That's a hotkey.
Which, by the way, I do recommend to set a little bit longer when you're learning. That way, when a couple minutes goes by, you're like, oh crap, I need a clip. Right. You can get most of that clip that you're going to need. Obviously, when it becomes habitual for you and you start to get good at it, you can definitely lessen it. So it helps time downloading and all that. Definitely helps. But even now that I'm used to it, I still keep mine a bit longer than I should, just because I'm a streamer. I get busy. I get caught up in chat, and I forget to click the button sometimes. And I'm like, I needed 5 more seconds on that. So that's the worst.
Yeah, I personally do like 2 minutes whenever I do a clip or something.
Oh my god, your download
I usually
time.
do 1 minute.
Yeah,
I use 1 minute. That being said, whenever I'm like, if I'm gaming and I'm not trying to use my computer and I'm just using my Xbox, I don't know if PlayStation has the same like ecosystem, but you can get an app for your phone, right? For Xbox. And there is a way you could send it directly from your Xbox to your phone automatically. That way you can edit it directly that way. Yeah,
we have the same thing now. You just link the PlayStation app to your PlayStation. You do have to go turn it on in the settings, but it will do it automatically. Like the moment you clip it, it'll automatically start downloading it into that clip. So if your internet's not very good, I don't know if you want it to do the automatic thing, because it's going to do it immediately. So if you're like a FPS and you need every ounce of, frames that you want, you probably don't want that setting on in the background if your internet's not very good.
Xbox doesn't do it automatically.
But yeah, so there's an automatic option for it. If not, you can go back to it after your game session. You can click on it and you can hit upload. So you can definitely do those things. But yeah, we finally, and it's a new thing with the PS5, I believe, unless I just didn't understand how to do it with the 4. But we finally do have that option as well.
Well, there you go. That seems like a pretty nice way to be able to do it if you're on a console then.
So
I'll
sure.
never know.
Well, gentlemen, I think that wraps up episode 6. I think this was a great one. Hopefully any of you guys that are suffering from any kind of, depression or motivational things, feel free to leave a comment on the videos or reach out to us, personally if you want to. And if you're hung up on just one certain thing that we said, or if you need a broader explanation, our comment section's there for a reason. So definitely hit us up. We appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you guys for all the support. It has been wild. We did not expect this podcast to pop off the way it has. We appreciate every single one of you, and we'll see you guys next week.
I just want to take the time and say that if you are experiencing depression or any type of anything that's going on in your life and you feel like it's too much, there are people to talk to. Obviously, you can come and you can hang out in streams if that helps, but talking to a professional is super important as well. And there is the crisis hotline, which is 988. Call if you need to. It's not a weakness. It's okay to do it. I know you were taught maybe not to, but this is me, Sauce McSaucy, telling you, make the call.